Hey guys, it's Oluvids, and I'm back at it again to explain some battle systems. I'll be taking a look at the World Ends With You Final Remix and Solo Remix, and I'll explain the gameplay of the DS version in a separate video, so be on the lookout for that. Alright, so this game is a very unique action RPG that not only has a gigantic amount of different moves you can use, but also each of those moves have unique ways of activating them. In the World Ends With You, the main character Neku can use pins that you collect throughout the world to activate powers called psychs. For example, the first one you get is a fire attack. As you go on, you collect more pins, which you need to assign to your deck to enter battle. You can take multiple pins into battle, so you have a bit of flexibility. Alright, so now that I told you what they use to fight, and how your commands are laid out, it's time to tell you how you actually use them. I did mention that they have unique ways of activating them, and that's because to fight, you gotta use certain gestures on the screen. For example, with the fire move I mentioned earlier, you have to drag the screen, and the fire will follow where you drag. Now if you're playing the Solo Remix, which is the mobile version, or if you're playing handheld mode for the Final Remix, which is the Switch version, you'll input these gestures by using your finger. Also, while you're in battle, you can drag Neku over to where you want to move him. Do it slowly if you want to just make him walk, or do it quickly if you want to make him dodge. Alright, so now you have a general idea of what the gameplay of TWEWY is kind of like, but there may be some of you wondering, how does this game work on TV if you're playing it on a Switch? You can't really use a touchscreen when it's on the dock, so how does that work? Well, you grab a Joy-Con, and I do mean a single Joy-Con, and you point it at the screen. When you play it on TV mode, this game will shift to kind of be like a Wii game, where the pointer will appear on the screen, and you use your Joy-Con kind of like a Wiimote. Or, I guess like a normal remote if you somehow don't know about the Wii. This little circle will act as your finger. So using the fire pin as an example again, this time you gotta point, hold down A, and then move the circle to move the fire to where you want to go. And in terms of making Neku move or dodge, you just gotta put the pointer on him and press B while you drag him off to another place. Oh, and one more thing to keep track of with those pins though. You can't spam them forever and ever. They have a cooldown once you've used them enough times, and you need to either go full Ultra Instinct and dodge everything, or you'll need to mix it up a bit and use some other pins that you have that aren't on cooldown. And yeah, I told you earlier that you can have multiple pins in your deck, so the gameplay is more varied than just spamming that fire attack. Other pins have different gestures, like tapping the enemy, slashing Neku, or even scratching an empty space. Also, things like healing items will be activated by tapping the pin itself. Also, the game will let you equip a bunch of the same psychs, so you really will have to diversify with the gestures and the different powers you have. So be sure to keep that in mind. Alright, so I know you noticed this, so let me just explain what it is now. This is going to be your partner in this 7-day death game called the Reaper's Game. This character, Shiki, can fight alongside Neku. She sorta acts like an extra pin. Pins can normally level up and get stronger, but since she isn't actually a pin, she doesn't level up. But there are ways to make her stronger, which I will get into in a sec. Anyway, you activate her attack by tapping the enemy. She'll send her stuffed animal to go in and attack the enemy with a combo. While she's attacking, you can still move around and attack at the same time with Neku. This is called a cross combo. The more cross combos you do, the more the sync gauge fills up. This sync gauge basically fills up so that you can use the super attack called a fusion, which is when Neku and Shiki are fully in sync. The fusion button will be over the spot where Shiki is, and you just gotta tap it and that'll activate it. Once you do that, you'll see a multiplier for drop rates and damage. You also have to play this little mini game here to increase the multiplier to deal massive damage, as well as getting a higher chance of getting some more scarce drops. This one specifically just has you tap the cards going from lowest to highest. Also, the fusion mechanic can be leveled up, so you'll need to keep an eye out for materials and for shops that have upgrades. In that instance, you need to get the sync gauge higher than 100 to, let's say, like 200 and 300 and all that. Okay, so I mentioned Shiki being able to get stronger, but I'm just going to talk about the regression system in general. So yeah, as I said earlier, pins level up, and sometimes they evolve into stronger ones. But Neku can level up as well. However, when Neku levels up, it only increases his HP, and not any of his other stats like defense. To increase those stats, you'll need to do a bit more adventuring around the city of Shibuya. For permanent stat increases, you need to go into shops and eat food. Once you eat the meal, you'll need to fight in order to fully digest it and get the stat benefits. You also have a limit on how much you can eat per real-world day, so when you run out of space, you need to wait till the next day before you can eat again. Both Neku and Shiki can eat food, but make sure you don't waste defense-based food on Shiki because, she can't even take damage. Same goes with equipping armor, which instead of just actually being armor, instead this game is just putting on different clothes. You can only put one of each piece of clothing on a single character, so you can't put 2 shirts on someone. There is also a bit of a difference on how clothing works compared to armor in other games. For one, you'll need a certain amount of bravery to put that piece of clothing on, which can be increased by eating. Lastly, in terms of the clothes, some pieces of clothing will have bonus passive abilities which can be unlocked by raising up the level of the shopkeeper that you bought the clothes from, which you can do by buying more of their clothes or pins. Alright, so that pretty much covers what you need to know about the general combat and progression systems, but I do want to give you some bonus tips that have to do with initiating battles, increasing drop rates, and really interesting thing you can do with the Switch version. After that, you can like go about your day or watch some of my other videos or whatever. So this is the normal field here. Here you can use the stick to move around and all that, and to initiate a battle you gotta press X to start scanning. This allows Neko to read people's minds. However, this will also open you up to encounter noise, which are the enemies of this game. Tap those symbols and they'll float right over to you and begin the battle. You can actually chain together multiple battles to make a bunch of rounds instead of just starting new battles over and over. It's up to you when you want to fight, so you don't have to worry about random encounters. Pretty convenient, huh? Oh yeah, and in terms of drop rates and all that, there are actually times when you'll need a certain item to progress the story, but you can thankfully adjust your chances to get said item. The rates are tied to your difficulty setting and also your level. This game has easy, normal, and hard mode, and enemies will drop different items for each difficulty. For example, if an enemy has like a 20% drop rate on something, all you gotta do is lower your level and it will increase the chances the further you lower it. It's the kind of thing where higher risks will give you higher rewards, so be sure to fiddle around with that if you're having trouble getting an item. Alright, so the final thing I can tell you about is the 2-player mode. Grab another Joy-Con, activate it in the menu, and then you'll be able to play as Neku while someone else plays as Shiki. Or you could do the forbidden art of dual wielding.
No. This isn't how you're supposed to play the game.
And yeah, that's really all I gotta tell you for the combat of this game. There's also like things like status effects, but I really don't need to go into what that is. I mean, we already play RPGs here, right? Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I hope you were able to begin to understand the battle system of TWEWY. If it was enough to get you to actually buy the game, let me know in the comments. And if you end up beating this game and you need some tutorials for Neo TWEWY, which is the sequel if you didn't know, I already have them up on my channel. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.